Her cruel amusement sliced through me as she mocked me in front of her friends, calling me a fool. That very night, I slipped away without leaving a single trace behind. I can still remember the precise moment everything fell apart. Her voice rose sharply above the hum of conversations, laced with scorn. We were at one of her favorite upscale rooftop bars, the kind of place with overpriced cocktails and guests who laughed far too loudly just to be noticed. I never liked those places, but I went for her. I believed she wanted me there. I assumed my presence mattered to her. I was wrong. The evening started like countless others. She had invited me to join her circle, some coworkers, a few old college friends. Most of them were strangers to me. I thought she wanted me beside her, as her partner, someone she respected, even cherished. That illusion shattered within minutes. They'd already had a few drinks by the time I arrived. I sat beside her, kissed her gently on the cheek. She barely reacted, just a fleeting smirk, as if I were an afterthought. At first, I told myself she was simply caught up in the moment, or maybe a bit tipsy. But then came the jabs. When someone asked how we met, I began to share a lighthearted story about how we both reached for the same book in a crowded bookstore. Before I could finish, she interrupted with a cruel laugh. "Don't believe his version," she said. "He followed me around that store like a lost puppy for ages before he found the nerve to speak." Laughter exploded around the table. I forced a smile, trying to keep the mood light, hoping it was just harmless teasing. But it didn't stop there. Every question they directed at me, she hijacked with a sharper sting. My job? Oh, he fiddles with computers or something. Sits in front of screens all day pretending he's doing something important. My cooking? He tried making lasagna once. We almost had to call a hazmat crew to clean up the mess. My hobbies? You mean his weird obsession with old, dusty mystery novels? He thinks he's some kind of detective. Each insult brought more laughter, and she basked in it, glancing around proudly, never once looking at me. At that table, I wasn't her partner. I was the evening's entertainment. Her clown. I excused myself, claiming I needed the washroom, just needing to breathe. I stared at my reflection in the mirror for what felt like forever, trying to force a smile, trying to convince myself her words hadn't wounded me. But they had. It wasn't just the jokes, it was the purpose behind them. The need to belittle me just to entertain her friends. When I returned, no one noticed. She was leaning in toward one of the men, laughing at something he said about relationships being acts of pity. She didn't correct him. I sat there, watching her, feeling like a ghost. Something broke inside me, not with rage, but with quiet, painful clarity. I stayed silent, waited for the check, paid our portion, and told her I was heading out to catch a taxi. She offered that same half-hearted smirk and said, "Text me when you're back, love," as if the night had been normal. But I didn't go back. Not to her. Not to the home we shared. I had packed a bag weeks before. Not because I expected that specific night to happen, but because I had sensed something changing in her. The warmth had faded. The attention was gone. She used to hold my hand in public. Now she only wanted the spotlight. In her world, I had become invisible. That night, I checked into a hotel. I slept alone for the first time in a long time, and in that stillness, I found a kind of peace I hadn't felt in weeks. The next day, while she was at work, I removed every part of myself from our shared life. I arranged to have my belongings picked up. I blocked her everywhere. I closed our joint accounts. I left no message, no explanation, nothing she could twist into another joke for her audience. 3 days later, she showed up at my closest friend's door, confused, frantic, even angry. "Why would he just vanish like that?" she demanded. "He didn't even say anything. He just disappeared." Exactly. I disappeared because words would have been pointless. I didn't leave out of fear. I left because staying would have meant slowly losing myself. You can only sit at a table where everyone laughs but you for so long, especially when you're the punchline. Sometimes, silence speaks louder than anything. And disappearing without a word becomes the only statement that truly lingers. She called me a fool.